The International Court of Justice has come up with a ruling in favor of South Africa after South Africa accused Israel of genocide against the Palestinian people in Gaza. Let's watch.
The court indicates the following provisional measures. 1. By 15 votes to 2, the State of Israel shall, in accordance with its obligations under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide in relation to the Palestinians in Gaza, take all measures within its power to prevent the commission of all acts within the scope of Article 2 of the Convention.
For context, Israel and the Palestinian people have been through the most for the longest time. But let's not go there. Let's just go a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, negative things happened in that land. It was very sad. Hamas, an armed group composed of Palestinians, attacked Israel and did some negative things on civilians that did not deserve it. Israel decided to react in the most powerful way possible.
אזרחי ישראל, אנחנו במלחמה. לא במבצע, לא בסבבים, במלחמה.
But unfortunately, not only Hamas, but many people who were civilians also were victims of that situation. Out of many countries in the world, South Africa had made it its task to take Israel to court for genocide against the Palestinian people.
For the past 96 days, Israel has subjected Gaza to what has been described as one of the heaviest conventional bombing campaigns in the history of modern warfare. Palestinians in Gaza are being killed by Israeli weaponry and bombs from air, land, and sea.
Because South Africa feels it can relate to Palestine in terms of history, being itself a country that was crippled during apartheid, where most of the land was occupied and ruled by descendants of white people that came to Africa.
As people and an organization that has struggled against an oppressive system of apartheid, we do pledge solidarity with the Palestinians.
The South African people have accused Israel of genocide against the Palestinian people at the International Court of Justice, and everybody was waiting to see what was going to happen. For the most time, when people accuse Israel, Israel doesn't really react. But this time around, they sent a group of lawyers to go and defend themselves. Many countries voiced themselves to call on South Africa on how absurd their move looked. The American politicians said that was completely uncalled for, completely unnecessary.
We find this submission meritless, counterproductive, and completely without any basis in fact whatsoever.
Germany sided with Israel, saying they were ready to defend them against the South African accusations.
Deutschland steht an der Seite Israels.
Germany stands by Israel's side. We will support the country and we support its right to self-defense.
Some African countries like Kenya and the president of the Congo, DRC, siding with Israel in the name of religion. The International Court of Justice has delivered its ruling on the emergency measure requested by South Africa in its genocide case against Israel over the war on the Gaza Strip. The court said that Israel must take steps to prevent acts of genocide in Gaza. This is a court where most of the countries have signed. This was created after World War II in order to prevent acts of genocide from happening again. South Africa is a signatory of this law, so is Israel. So the countries that are signatories are abide by the rule to respect the law over genocide and not to do anything resembling to genocide. Now, against all odds, the court have ruled in favor of South Africa. We all know since October 7th, Israel military campaign has killed over 26,000 people and wounded over 64,000 people, according to officials in Gaza. And thousands more are missing under the rubble, and most of them are presumed gone. So, South Africa felt that it was necessary for them to come forward and react because the acts that's happening on Palestine for them looks very similar to what they had lived in the past during apartheid. And it was necessary for them in the name of Mandela, who was a huge supporter of Palestinians.
30 years ago, following our first democratic elections, President Nelson Mandela declared, "Let there be justice for all. Let there be peace for all. Never, never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another."
It was necessary for them to not stay quiet while all these things that are horrible was happening. So they took it upon themselves to take it to the International Court of Justice and call upon everybody who signatory of the document that was signed in 1955 to call upon Israel to stop its activity in Gaza and allow the people of Gaza to have food, drinks, and rest. and to have an international community of military, UN soldiers to go on the ground and protect the people of Gaza. Now, in spite of the fact that many countries were leaning toward Israel, Namibia was the only African country that backed South Africa in its task against Israel. Only Namibia was the country that backed South Africa as an African country in its task against Israel. Now, here are some of the reactions of politicians since this has happened. Obviously, this is a big win for South Africa. Nobody believed that it could have gone this way, and perhaps that's the reason why many countries have not reacted, fearing to be victims at the last. South Africa is not afraid because they have been through this before. They have been through something very similar, they say. So it is for them morally wrong that they do not react. Now, here are some of the comments that has been made. Riyad Maliki, the Palestinian Minister of Foreign Affairs, has issued a statement responding to the International Court of Justice. He said Israel failed to convince the court that it was not violating the Genocide Convention. The ICJ judges saw through Israel politicization, deflection, and outright lies. They assessed the fact and the law and ordered provisional measures that recognize the gravity of the situation on the ground and the veracity of South Africa's application. Israel is accused of destroying an entire people and will now stand accused of genocide, the crime of all crimes. Obviously, the Palestinian people are very happy to see this ruling.
Palestine reaffirms its eternal gratitude to the people and government of South Africa for taking this bold step of active solidarity and will continue to work closely with South Africa and other countries to ensure that justice is served.
So this Palestinian minister is clearly very happy to see that the court is ruling in favor of South Africa. Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, has reacted.
Israel's commitment to international law is unwavering. Equally unwavering is our sacred commitment to continue to defend our country and defend our people. Like every country, Israel has an inherent right to defend itself.
I don't think that needs any explanation. It's very clear. He says Israel is fighting a just war and Israel will continue to defend itself. Now, Ben Gvir, who is a far-right national security minister, he says the decision of the anti-Semitic court in The Hague proves what we already know. The court does not seek justice, but rather a persecution of the Jewish people. They were silent during the Holocaust, and today they continue the hypocrisy and take it to a next step further. So he's saying the ICJ was silent during the time that Israelis were persecuted in 1944. But we know here that the ICJ was only founded in 1945 after World War II. Now, has South Africa really won its case? Not yet, because South Africa will not be happy in the final operative paragraph, where the ruling of the provisional measures are not the one South Africa asked for. South Africa wanted ceasefire, an opportunity for an investigation. Is this going to happen right now? They say it's probably going to take some years before this happens. But is this a big win for South Africa? Probably, because unlike what everybody else thought, they voiced themselves. Naledi Pandor has clearly showed no fear in this task.
There's no way that I'm going to say I'm disappointed. I hoped for it, but the fact of delivering humanitarian aid, the fact of taking measures that reduce the levels of harm against persons who have no role in what Israel is combating, for me requires a ceasefire. And I believe Israel would have to attend to how it conducts its search for the hostages and for those Hamas individuals who carried out the October 7 attack.
Where they believe it was necessary that they speak up and not stay quiet. Let me know how you feel about this. South Africa taking Israel to court and winning the preliminary rulings, meaning 15 judges voting for South Africa and only 2 for Israel. That's a big number. What does that mean for the people of Africa who have not supported South Africa in its task? God bless.